is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. Since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Well, good morning, Lazier Cats, and anyone else tuning in on this Thursday morning. Michael is not here today, so I, Kelsey Paul, will be hosting the Jeffersonians. On our panel today, we have Sophia, Mohammed, Rory, and Aaron on the board. And also, Mr. Jefferson is there if he wants to add his commentary, and also Mr. Pete. So let's get into today's topic. Today, as usual, we have a controversial show. Free energy and the recent allegations that the U.S. government has tried to suppress free energy. First off, Sophia, what is free energy?
So basically, free energy is a conspiracy theory claiming that pollution-free, no-cost energy sources are being suppressed by government and corporations, mainly oil companies.
And I know that we came across one of the videos online that we were looking at, and there was some hard evidence that they laid out that actually supported the suppression of U.S. government. So what are the exact examples of these people?
All right, so there's a lot of people that were suppressed by the government, supposedly. One of them being Stanley Mayer. He claimed to have done what was previously impossible. He made a water fuel cell that turned water into hydrogen fuel to drive his car. And there's actually lots of videos, well, a few videos, of him driving his VW powered dune buggy running on nothing but water. And the videos are pretty well documented, but strangely unpublicized. There's other people like Eugene Malov. He worked for the MIT labs for a while in the 90s, but stopped working there to research more in cold fusion. Cold fusion is basically nuclear fusion occurring at room temperature rather than extreme temperatures. And lastly, T.H. Murray. He supposedly created a machine that extracts radiant energy using their 0 point energy, which is the lowest possible energy that a quantum mechanical physical system may have. So basically, these people were just killed or murdered, or no one really knows, but supposedly suppressed by the government and oil companies.
We see a great industry in the oil industry, obviously. Right now, it's $3 plus a gallon for gas. You know, that's pretty high. And when you have choices of like smart cars or, you know, hydrogen and water and all that cold fusion and all those technologies, why not use it? It's obvious because of some kind of monetary gain. But also, why could the suppression be good?
Well, with the economy it is right now, oil industries, car industries, all of those types of businesses very much so help our economy. And if we were to switch over to free energy, which we don't even know if it will be able to support a multi-million population country like we are, we don't know how it'll affect it. Maybe it's such advanced technology, it'll be very expensive. Maybe the average family that could afford maybe a Honda won't be able to afford a car that can, be used by hydrogen fusion or cold fusion. And not to mention that what would happen to all the people who had jobs in the oil industry or the car industries. Those are really big companies. There are many people working those at processing plants or at car plants manufacturing them every day. And many of those are also American businesses, which aren't many. There aren't many American businesses left.
Yeah.
Most of it being exported to Mexico or China.
Now, in the long run, I see where you guys are coming from. Like, switching to free energy may help us save some money, but it can also help lose lives in the long run. When you look at what this says right here, it says an understandable reason for suppressing certain types of energy inventions is that the knowledge behind them is so capable of producing tremendously destructive advanced electromagnetic weapons such as the death ray. So it can eventually lead to the creation of some crazy types of nuclear weapons and
Death ray?
The
Yeah, it actually
technology
says
is there.
Invented by Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
I can't see the U.S. government supporting, death ray projects, but
Well,
But we would save hundreds of billions of dollars that we spend in importing the oil from other countries.
But how many years would that take for the switch to be effective?
yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, if you were to completely scrap the oil rigs and the excavation processes that the oil companies do use, they would lose a tremendous amount of money of investment. And although maybe theoretically it wouldn't cost that much money to switch over to free energy, how long would it take? How long would it take to produce all of the technologies in mass production that it would that would supply America?
That's true. But in addition, it would empower people to not be slaves to the system, and people would become supposedly more robust.
Fight the
in
power.
more dependent. I
Yeah,
understand
and
where
more
you're coming from.
independent.
Another point that I think that should be brought up, what about global warming?
Yeah.
We hear all these stories about how there's oil spills in the Gulf, and that's, a con for the oil industry. So why not use renewable resources to help fix that?
It would help the air be clean and preserve the Earth's climate and avoid ground level ozone formation and prevent acid rain from the pollution.
Well, without a doubt, there is definitely some sort of change to the environment, undoubtedly caused by the greenhouse emissions that cause the rise in temperature. But it can be easily enough fixed if people learn moderation. If you live in a town that's only 3 or 4 miles long, you don't need a car to get from A and B every day. Why not take a bus? Why not, ride a bike? It's exercise. It's good for you. And that also, if you would think about it, if people would learn to do that, they themselves would also become more independent and robust. They would learn to care for themselves. They would become, more of a mind to the environment. But at the same time, the way America is right now, it would take a lot of effort and a lot of manpower to be able to do something like that. I mean, where we live right now, you try riding a bike on Tunnelly Avenue and see how far that gets you.
You have to also look at it. How many people are really going to do that? How many people are
You can
going to
hear me?
participate? Oh, Mr. Jefferson, you're on. Oh, okay, you're not on. Okay.
What I wanted to say was
Okay.
in response to Rory's comment about riding bikes and using buses. This is a way for the system to charge you money. You've already paid for a car. You pay for every other thing. What's the price of a bus? It's $1 a day. That adds up. A car is cheaper. Plus, if I want to drive a car, why not let me drive a car? If I want to pay for it, let me pay for it. The free market still rules in this country.
People are going to take the cheaper approach. They don't have money to, waste on what's cleaner for the environment. So if we put in place these renewable resources and, replace oil industries for them and make it cheaper, we could benefit from it.
But that's just it. If people don't have the money to pay for a car now, how much is the car that the technology is so advanced is going to be able to, use hydrogen fusion? What Sophia said, he was able to power a dune buggy. But how much energy will it require to power a bus that runs for almost the entirety of a day? How long will it take for a car to be able to go cross country in it?
It's so
solar,
easy.
right? Or
No,
hydrogen and
it's
solar.
so easy to get water.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
you could run it on
Water.
free
Yeah.
products.
And it doesn't matter what type of water. It could be ice, salt water, distilled water.
I mean, there's points on both sides. One side, free energy. The other side, it powers the U.S. government. So we have to somehow find a middle ground, a transitional piece from going over from the oil industry into, more free energy.
I completely understand what you mean, and it would definitely be a step in the right direction for a better future. And, maybe in the long run for a better economy, maybe somehow with, more energy being free, we'll be able to produce more of something. I'm not sure what we would be able to produce with that, But as Mo said, as technology increases, there's also the risk of something dangerous happening.
Excuse me, this is Mr. P. Do you think the oil companies are going to allow free energy?
No,
No.
Do you think the oil companies are going to give up their monopoly on
They
Exactly.
don't want to.
energy and the billions of dollars of profit they
Well,
make?
think about it like this: if the technology is already here and there's documentation of it, and it's still not incorporated into our system, that already says the oil companies and the businesses like that aren't willing to budge yet.
Right. I feel they're blocking progress. They have been for many years, and it's all due to monetary concerns.
Exactly.
That's my feeling.
The oil companies are very rich people, and as we all know, our government is very easily persuaded by money. So who's not to say the oil companies are a part of this in a larger scale?
Yeah. A lot of people think that our country and actually the world is not run by any leader. It's run by the industrial military complex. The leaders are just kind of there for show. So a lot of people think the oil companies run the world, and that could be true.
It's very obvious that the oil companies have a lot to do with why we don't have more renewable resources. It's obvious that it is an industry. It makes money. It does run the government. It allows us for the cycle of the money to be continuously.
Even senators need to use cars.
Okay, so we touched on some interesting and very controversial topics today. On one side, we have renewable energy, and it's clean and it's good for our environment, but also the gas industry could fall and stock in turn could fall, leaving economic collapse. So we have to find somehow a middle ground, and maybe the people of the America could, have a voice and, voice their opinion, and we could find, a solution to this problem.
I want to play devil's advocate for a second. Imagine that you're the oil company. Why not buy the patents for these other renewable resources, for the water car, the hydrogen cell, the electric thing, and just squash them? Oil is still the most profitable thing. Gasoline is still sold in all the stations. Where can you go to plug in your electric? And the idea of free energy is not really free, as in it costs no money. Whatever money you don't give to Exxon or to Sunoco or to Shell, you're going to give to PSE&G. And electricity is very expensive, especially around here. But if I'm Exxon, why shouldn't I be able to acquire these other risks to my profits just to kill them? Is that not how the free market should work?
Well, it's certainly how the free market should work. And, who's not to say that they've already not done it? I mean, if suppression is real, if this is actually a thing, maybe it's already happened. Maybe it worked. Maybe suppression is so existent that we really don't know. But to bring up the fact that you said, why not buy the patents and squish them? Well, maybe somebody else is there. Maybe somebody else wants to buy it, or maybe it gives an idea for the people. Maybe there's maybe they want the people to have some kind of hope or idea that energy can be free. Maybe even to make the oil companies or the coal companies not even, make it look like they're not the worst evil in America.
Exactly. That's the idea of a smokescreen in politics. You set up a straw man to take the fall for you so that you look great and the other guy looks bad. That's entirely what works in the political world.
And most of the price of gas goes towards taxes. I don't think people, realize that majority of what you're paying for, I mean, it is the actual product. Some goes to marketing and distribution. Some goes to the retailers, and some goes to that little quickie mart down, next to it. But most of it goes towards taxes. So in reality, who's to blame? The federal government putting the blame on Exxon, or, you don't know.
Well, the federal government is asking for tax money for things that have nothing to do with gasoline. There's a certain amount of pennies in New Jersey on the gas tax goes towards smoking prevention programs. Now, smoking's bad for you, but this is outrageous to take money out of everybody that needs to buy gas to pay for smoking cessation programs. I mean, the government's overreaching. And this is just one out of dozens of different examples.
You know, I was watching something today, and to bring up the fact that, you know, the government makes us pay ridiculous taxes for, you know, things that have no real purpose or need for us. They took out several thousands of dollars to pay for retirement of a bunch of monkeys that were scientifically tested on so that they could go retire to live in Louisiana on a little reservation for themselves.
I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah.
That's pretty sad.
That's not sad for the monkeys.
Yeah, not for the monkeys. To think that our government is corrupt is not a new concept.
Of course, we live in New Jersey.
Yeah, we live in New Jersey. But
There's a difference, though, between being corrupt and being inept. You know, the idea that the government should be fixing all your problems signals more ineptness than it does corruptness.
and it's also, you know, the people have to take a stand and make a change and actually speak out. And having shows like this, spreading the word, getting the information out, not being ignorant of what's going on in our country also helps. And I think we had a good show today, right, guys? We discussed free energy, and if any of you have another conspiracy theory next time, maybe we'll do that next time. But overall, I think we touched on some good points. Thank you again for having us. This is the Jeffersonians with Sophia, Muhammad, Rory, Aaron working the board. Thank you very much. And Mr. Jefferson and Mr. P, who offered his insight also. Thank you. Have a nice day.